can I stop feeling ashamed or defeated about my financial situation?
Well, number one, that's not going to do you any good to feel ashamed. That's just going to keep creating more of the same. What I want you to think about is, what do I really want? That has so in the past. You can't do anything from the past but learn from it. Is the worst thing you could do, because all you're going to do is keep chipping away at your identity, which creates your results. So what the best thing to do is let your imagination flow. Get out a piece of paper and write out, we're just about at the 6-month mark of the year. Now, I want you to let the first 6 months go, and then I want you to write exactly what you want to earn by December 31st. And I want you to write it in detail, how you want to live. The moment you do that, you're planting an image in your mind, and your mind goes to work on it. But can you imagine, like, I think about this, and I think, God, I was struggling so bad. I was in so much debt. I was paycheck to paycheck before I lost my job. And if I would have shamed myself, there was no chance I would have won. For 3 years, I just kept studying this, even though I wasn't getting results at that time, but it did some good because it created a lot of hope for me. And I always think hope gives options. So whatever you do, don't shame yourself. Understand your current results are based on the past, not based on what you do right now.
Uh, Dave Science says hi.
I'll tell Dave I said hi too.
Okay, let's go. What mindset shifts do I need to break out of survival mode?
Well, you got to create a much bigger vision for yourself. The only reason you're in survival mode is because that's a paradigm you've inherited for years. Most people are in survival mode. But what is the difference? You have to start believing like the people who are thriving believe. They're only believing on getting better. They focus only on what they want. They build great standards and discipline. So the first thing you have to do is stop saying you're in survival mode and start going after a big vision. Now, any goal, there's 2 key components that you have to have if you're going to achieve something greater and get into thriving. Number one, you have to have great faith, and you have to have great persistence. You mix those two, but start going after what you really want and stop tolerating your current results.
Okay, here's a good one. How can I start believing that I deserve financial success?
Well, let's ask a different question. Why do you believe you don't deserve it? So first, let's start evaluating your beliefs to see if they're even true. Most people believe things to be true just because they've accepted that idea, not because it's actually true. So every single person's divine right is wealth. Now, everyone doesn't believe that. Now, everyone has all these counter beliefs, and they have these false beliefs that say, no, my whole life I believed opposite. Yes, I understand that. That's why you've gotten to this result. So the question should be, why do I deserve it now? Why? Because it's your divine right. If one person can create great wealth, so can you. And now I want you to focus on making yourself so much better. I want you to continue growing. And as you do that, everything is going to change for you. But until you keep feeling sorry for yourself, because that's what it is. You might not actively say, I'm feeling sorry for myself, but we've got to create an enormous image of ourselves if we're going to create great results. You know, small image, small results. But I can tell you, like I always say, one of the greatest things that I tell people is, if I can do it, you could do it. Because it's the most accurate statement. Because I know where I was. I know where a lot of my clients have been and now where they are. But the difference between where we are now and where we want to be is how we see ourselves. So I want you to focus on dramatically upgrading your story.
Okay. How do I stop feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed by my money problems?
Well, number one, stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on you. You're the only problem you're ever going to have and the only solution. Money is not the cause, it's an effect. The cause is always us. The cause is our belief system. The cause is our action steps. The cause is who we're getting mentored by. The cause is what type of direction are you following. The most important things that we have in life are the choices we make. So look at what are the choices I'm making. Am I betting on myself? Am I only accepting my financial situation as it is? What if you started normalizing wealth and you treated the wealth that you desire just as you've accepted your current results? Imagine what would happen.
What daily habits or thoughts can help me develop a wealth mindset?
You have to constantly focus on what you want. You've got to think prosperous thoughts. What are prosperous thoughts? These are thoughts that are going to ascend you. These are only why you can do it, not why you can't do it. These are thoughts of extreme ownership. Once you have ownership, you're in control of you. And when you are only thinking about what you want, that's all you're going to attract. Most people don't have a want. So I want you to ask yourself, and let's reframe the question. How do I train myself to only think of what I want when in my face the opposite is showing up? Well, this is where discipline comes, and I want you to pick what you want more than anything else, and everything that is not that you say no to. Well, you start stacking it every day, every day, every day. You're going to create momentum in your favor, and you watch in 30 days how many thoughts are going to change.
Let's see. How do I stop comparing my financial situation to others and feeling like a total failure?
It's very normal. It's a really good question, but you got to understand why you're comparing to others. That's coming from your ego. Your ego loves to compare yourself to other people. It loves to tell you what you made a mistake on. It loves perfectionism. So you have to decide, who am I going to be? Am I going to keep comparing myself to others where what they do doesn't impact my life at all? You're running your own race. So this is where we've got to get you to start understanding who you are. You're a spiritual being living in a physical body, and how you use your intellect is creating your results. So what I want you to focus on is getting to understand the essence of you is pure perfection. Now, your want that you have right now is meant to be fulfilled. The only reason people's wants don't get fulfilled is because they give up. But we have to understand who we are first. There's infinite inside of you. You have so much power. It is always with you, but it's how you use your mind. You know, life comes down to two things: how you're using your mind and how you're using your imagination. Do you realize that 90% of people who set goals never commit to them? 90%, that's the research. And that's absurd. The treasure is always in our commitment. And I want you to commit right now that you are going to build from this moment on in the best 90 days. Then stack these 90 days over and over again. And you watch how much your results are going to change.
Okay, we have a question from GSG. What's the best way to get in control of your subconscious mind?
Well, the best way, first of all, you can't control your subconscious mind. What you can do is direct it. Your subconscious mind, it has no ability to think. Your subconscious mind speaks in stories. Your subconscious mind cannot cannot reject anything you give it. It can only accept it. So you have to understand the laws of your subconscious, and that's emotion. Your subconscious responds to emotion more than anything else. That's why the universe responds to our feeling more than anything else. But the best way to direct it is through repetition. That's how you've directed it to this point. See, most people are accepting other people's suggestions because they leave their subconscious wide open. So when you get involved, which most people won't do, they don't fall in love with repetition. Repetition over and over again is how you change your subconscious programming. What's another way? Is get into action out of your comfort zone. You'll have a visceral experience right away. but you've got to give your subconscious a bigger story than it currently has. Right now, it is expressing the dominant of two ideas. If I say I'm wealthy, but for years I've been in poverty, well, I'm going to keep seeing poverty unless I do enough repetition of having wealthy thoughts, taking wealthy actions, and that's when the subconscious is going to change.
Gotcha. We have a question from Nuri Nazim. I'm struggling to be consistent with holding my future self-image. How can I overcome this?
Well, don't try to overcome it. What you want to do is just say for one day, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to commit to what I say I'm going to do, and everything I'm going to do is going to come from my future self. So I'm going to think, feel, and act from my future self just for today. I'm going to have the most positive, prosperous attitude just for today. I'm going to live my standard. I am not going to tolerate anything less than my standard just for today. And if you start doing this and make every decision from your future self, not your current results, that's how you skip levels, and that's where quantum leaps come.
Wendell said hi. Worth It Development said hi.
Well,
Lisa Hamar just said hi.
Tell them all I said hello.
Hello. All right. How can I overcome the fear of taking final risk or starting something new?
Well, if you're not taking risk, you're risking it all. The people who risk are not risking anything. They're the ones setting themselves up to win. The people who lose are always playing it safe. They're always planning to plan. So when you take a risk, when you go out of your comfort zone, when you choose a bigger idea, you're not risking anything. You're growing, and you get rewarded because the universe knows when you're out of your comfort zone, and it does everything in its power to support you.
What mental blocks might be keeping me from attracting or holding on to money?
Oh, just your relationship with money, no question. Your worthiness, your relationship with money. Everyone, if you're stuck right now, nobody understands that better than me. I know what it feels like. And I know what it feels like to be on the other end. But you've got to start uncovering what your false beliefs are. Your false beliefs are creating your subconscious blocks that are blocking success that you desire. How's my guy Wendell doing?
Wendell, we need a question from you. All right. Why does it take roughly 3 to 5 years to get a goal?
It doesn't. Who's ever told you that? I mean, I've hit goals in weeks. I've hit them in 90 days, quite a few in 90 days. Don't fall for that. Wherever you heard that, that's a bunch of crap.
All right. I think that's about it. Do we have any more questions out there? You have anything you want to tell them maybe?
You know, my biggest thing is always, like, what do you want? Like, if you don't have a want that moves you, you're going to automatically default to your old self, and you've got to break the habit of your old emotional state. You know, like I said earlier, we're at the 6-month mark. Make a decision for yourself that you're going to create the best 6 months of your year right now. But don't make it just of this year. Make it the best 6 months of your life. You know, I always tell people this that I coach. Transformation isn't when you get the result. Transformation is the minute you decide and you commit to that decision day in and day out. I could look back at when I decided, when I walked away from my corporate job, I had no security. I had hardly any money left. And I was just about to get married, but that was the day my transformation happened. So don't wait for the result for your transformation, but start deciding and start believing. If you want to be a millionaire, start asking yourself, what does a millionaire believe that I don't believe? If you want to double your income, say, what does the type of person believe who automatically accepts doubling their income? That's what's going to set you up. It's always beliefs equals success.
All right. GSG says, how do I live more from the inside out, even though I keep hearing my family or my coworkers say negative things?
Well, you have to discipline your thinking, and you've got to be emotionally disciplined, where you make a decision. I'm not letting anybody impact where I'm going. And so you've got to get really good at accepting and rejecting ideas. You got to be very careful where you remember when I said suggestion a few minutes ago? You're letting your coworkers and your family suggestion get inside of you. And if they're not performing at the results that you want to perform, don't take their advice.
How do I stop overthinking everything?
Get into action right away. Do it now. You know what's so interesting if you think about this? Have you ever thought your way out of fear? Whenever somebody overthinks, they're worried, well, what if this doesn't work? I don't have the skill set yet. Well, how do you think you get the skill set? Through failure. The millionaire mindset is about embracing failure. But most people don't understand it. If you are around somebody who's really winning big, they don't look at failure the way 95% of the population look at it. They think failure is an illusion. Like, I fail every day. I can't wait to fail. And so you've got to change your relationship with it to set you up to break free.
How did you stop seeking validation from others and trust yourself?
I think that's a good question. I think it comes down to the more I studied myself, the more I understood. And the more I studied this philosophy and started implementing it in my day-to-day life, it really didn't matter what anybody else was doing. It's very hard for people in the beginning because they don't have a good enough image of themselves. They don't have a strong image. But whatever the dominant image in our mind is what's going to create our results. And I remember reading a book by Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, and it said, Maltz was saying in the book, every time you beat yourself up, you're chipping away and you're taking your results backward. Well, I took that as gospel, and I stopped beating myself up. Well, what is validation? Validation is a form of I'm not good enough. And it's exhausting because you're never going to live up to what you think the validation means. I heard this quote by Christopher Walken, the actor. He said, if people realized how quickly people move on from people who passed away, they would never worry about what anyone thinks. I thought that was so good.
Okay, Wendell decided to chime back in.
All right, let's see what he's got.
What does it mean to create an environment where you don't need willpower?
Well, because all you're doing is focusing on what you want. Will is never greater than the imagination. Whatever's in your imagination is always going to win. So when you create an environment when you're in proximity with like-minded people who are going the direction you're going, you don't need willpower. The environment is so amazing and it's going to keep elevating your standard. But your habits also create that environment for you when you're not in proximity with these people. Your habits are going to create it. Your decisions are going to create it. Because what is decision? It's death of everything opposite. And what we want to start training ourselves is to stop negotiating with our decisions. Whatever I want, this is what I'm creating, and give yourself a timeline. And when you do that, you're going after something definite. But if you don't have a timeline and you don't have conviction in it, I promise you, you don't have a goal.
Jonathan Miller says hi.
Tell Jonathan I said hi too.
I've heard your story about how many setbacks you had. How did you rebuild after so many setbacks?
I mean, what makes you think I don't have setbacks right now? I'm always working on a bigger idea. Like I was driving today for 7 hours, and all I kept thinking was what can I create? What can I create? I had so many ideas come up, but setbacks are a part of life. Adversity is not there to stop us. It's there to make us stronger, to prepare us for our next level of freedom. So I don't look that I had so many setbacks. I look at it, everything was preparing me for what I'm doing now. So I still don't look at setbacks as that big of a deal. Setbacks are just part of it. They're building your character. So don't let the setback stop you. Don't let it create doubt in you. Focus on what is the lesson? Where could I get better? Where can I upgrade my belief here? Where can I upgrade my skill set so you could leverage setbacks that'll really level you up?
Got you. We have a question from Scott McGregor. Arash, how do you deal with confidence and self-esteem bumps with kids? What strategy to get a child out of a funk when someone bullies them or they just feel bad about themselves?
Listen, I've dealt with that with my kids. It's more of talking it through and getting them to tell you how they really feel, because they're not going to want to express it. So I ask, when I've done it, I've asked my kids questions, but I always, no different than I work with clients, I said, now what did you learn from this? Now what would you do different? So talk to them like you would talking to me, and don't treat them any different, but understand every time something happens, it's an opportunity for your children to get better and to grow their inner strength, just like an adult would.
Hey Arash, question from Lion like Messenger. Hey Arash, how powerful is certainty and what does absolute certainty look like in achieving a goal? I have a 90-day goal on an LSAT exam and a six-figure income.
Well, first of all, I want you to already in your mind know that you crushed your LSAT and you hit your 90-day income goal. You just got to know. You remember when I said earlier, if you were on from the beginning, faith and persistence are critical to achieve worthy goals. So the faith is, I don't know how it's going to happen, I just know I'm going to do it. And then you got to prepare yourself. So you've got to prepare yourself for the LSAT by studying. Second, with your financial goal, you've got to focus on the service you're rendering, not what you're getting. What is the problem you're solving to earn that income goal? But what does absolute certainty means? That you know that you know that you know, even when you don't see the results, where you don't lose enthusiasm regardless of the results. Like, I know I'm going to win every day. I don't just say that. I know it because I will not give up until I do all my activities. Like, I've trained myself. I didn't always train myself and I didn't always have that certainty, but how it gets built are by your daily disciplines and your daily rituals.
Carlos Camacho says hi.
Tell him I said hi.
Jason Kerr says sup.
Sup?
That's my guy. What exercise? CSG says, what's an exercise that I could do to help my relationship with money be better and stronger?
Start spending $10,000 a day in your mind. When you see a nice car drive by, say, I can pay for that. Go into affluent areas so you're in a wealth consciousness. And every time you get a bill, open it, and I want you to see it as a check. If you do these, you're going to start healing your relationship with money. And then every day, write out your income goal. And then write out 5 ideas every day that come up to your mind that will help you achieve it. And don't worry if the ideas suck. Like 4 out of 5 may suck. 3 out of 5 may suck. Just keep doing it every day, every day. I was just doing shadow coaching this week with one of my clients, Charles. I gave this to him 90 days ago, and he's done it religiously every day. And he created an income source that generated over the last 90 days over $600,000. Now, do you know how many people I give this exercise to and how many people actually make it to day 3? See, it's not starting and stopping. If you want to create wealth, you have to build discipline and consistency.
Okay. Question. I have anger issues. How can I stop being so reactive and start responding more calmly?
You have to get in control of your mind. How is the anger issue serving you? Is it making you happier? My guess is no. So number one, you've got to deal with whatever you've suppressed. There's something under the hood that you've suppressed, and you've got to get it out of you. Write it out on a piece of paper. Scream in a pillow. Get it out of your energy. You will never create a successful life being angry.
How do I stay focused when my mind constantly wanders? Even if it wanders on my goal, I'm just not taking action.
Well, that's not what's happening, number one. You're not taking action because you haven't accepted the goal, and it is not a love story. You haven't made a decision that's a goal. That's a wish or a hope right now. Focus is driven by the will. So what you have to do, a good practice to increase focus, is do breath work. Start it for the first week. You just take 4 deep breaths in and let it out for 5 minutes. Then build it up. The next week, do it 7 minutes. The third week, do it 10 minutes until you get up to 15 minutes. And you're going to see your focus improve, but that's not really what's going on. I want you to look what a decision feels like. Think about a time where you really made a decision, where you said, this is what I'm doing no matter what, in any area of your life. And is that what you're doing towards this goal? Because until you decide, this is what I'm achieving no matter what, and following it through with action, it's not a goal.
Question from Carlos Camacho. Hello, Raj. How can I upgrade my standards in order to change my self-image to get the results I am looking for?
Create a standard for your self-image. Say, from now on, I am not saying one negative thing about myself. I'm going to operate out of my comfort zone, at least one thing out of my comfort zone every day. And I am not negotiating with my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Windows back. What's the single most important decision or belief shift that took you from just collecting information to actually creating real sustainable results?
I mean, it was doing it now. Like, I always had a goal. I just didn't execute because I wasn't getting into action. I always say the single best habit I've ever created in my life to this day, going back 20 years, is doing it now. When I started acting on ideas right away, regardless of if I was ready, because I was not ready, but I got ready once I took the action, because what happens is your brain is always trying to conserve energy. So you take one action, then the way just starts showing itself. The next action will come in the next action. But if you're procrastinating, if you're overthinking, if you're hesitating, now you're operating from the weakest version of yourself, not the highest version of yourself. But every time you take action, you're going to get rewarded.
All right, I think that's about it. Is there any more questions? All right, I guess it's on you.
All right.
Exit out.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this impromptu question and answer. You've made my drive a lot faster, so I want to thank you for weekend. I hope you really put what I told you into action and really bet on yourself, because until you bet on you, you're going to